Hello! So it's been a while since my last video. I can't actually remember how many months. Sorry about that, things have been a bit crazy, but I'm gonna get straight to it because my videos tend to be a bit long and I'm trying to cut them down because I don't know if you guys like watching 20 minutes of me rambling about stuff. So this video is gonna be about LGBT fiction, or non-fiction. There is one book that I have that is more of a fact book, but I'll get round to that. So I've got 8 for you today. I don't have all of the LGBTQIA etc. I am slowly trying to build up my thing. I'm going to start off today with actually one that I've got a bit of a problem with. Try and get that out of the way and I'll explain why. I have reviewed it, but I'm not going to say don't read it. I want you guys to make up your own thing. So, I know there is one person, the moment I show you this book, is going to rant to me. Fans of The Impossible Life. So I'm going to read the blurb to you on every book and then explain a bit more. Some of these I haven't read, so I'm going to explain to you why I picked it up, kind of thing, what interests me. May we live impossibly, Sebi said when he opened his eyes. Against all odds, many people look at us and wonder how such jewels can sparkle in the sad desert of the world. May we live the impossible life. Marie is trying to pretend she's a fully functioning human, rather than a girl who can't get out of bed for days on end. Jeremy is a painfully shy art nerd in self-imposed isolation after an incident that ruined his last year of school. And Sebi is a charming gay foster kid who seems to carry sunlight around with him. For Jeremy, it's as if he's always been expecting Sebi, though they've only just met. For Marie, she finally feels awake when she's with him. But Sebi has his own secret, and it's only together that the three of them can fix their broken selves and live their impossible lives. Number one, they don't fix themselves, because you can't fix yourself. I hate that term. If you're mentally ill, you're mentally ill. But it doesn't mean you're broken. Like, I hate the term fix yourself. I don't know why, it really annoys me. On the back it says contains adult themes. I think they should have made that bigger. I don't get triggered very much when reading, but this book I had to put down and walk away and calm myself down. There's I would put a trigger warning on this. If you haven't guessed, Marie is, I don't think I'm pronouncing her name right, but I call her Marie. I like the name Marie. She's got depression, so she's ended up in a mental ward due to harming herself. If you haven't guessed. There is a scene in here where it explains self-harm quite deep. I think, I haven't read this in months. One scene that sticks with me is it's explained like blood running down her, and I had to put it down and I was like, no. If I had known something like that was in there, I wouldn't have. I was going through quite a tough time when reading this anyway, and I thought, oh, it might cheer me up, kind of, I don't know. I thought it was like going to be an upbeat one. But let's not really talk about that. Sebi is obviously gay. There is a bit where he uses someone just for sex, and he does like get them to buy him food and everything, and he is just using them, and I don't really like that. So many things I would say is wrong with this. It's a brilliant idea, but I don't think it was written right. Jeremy, I'm trying to say things that aren't going to ruin it. Jeremy has 2 dads, so his dads are gay, and he struggles with that at school. Some people found out and started bullying him. There is a bisexual character. The girl, if you haven't guessed, is a person of colour. So there's a lot of diversity in that book, and it could have been a lot better than it was. I'm gonna get that over and done with. Right, this book is gay. You know I said about non-fiction? This one is kind of like a hand guide for someone who is LGBT wants to know more, maybe hand it to parents. So it says, whether you fancy boys or girls or both, or if you feel like a boy or a girl on the inside, you're just you, right? With laugh out loud wisdom, James Dawson smashes the myths and prejudices surrounding sexual orientation and gender identity, and tells it how it really is. Us human beings are a complicated bunch, and not one of us should be labelled wrong, just because we don't fit someone else's idea of normal. Including hilarious illustrations from Spike Gerard. This book is not gay, straight or bi, it's about the extraordinary, unique and totally normal person that is you, me, your best friend and their cousin. It's a book about us. It focuses on all points of LGBT, mainly though on gay. There's not very much about lesbians or bisexuals. There are parts of it, but it's mainly around the idea of being gay. It talks about gay sex, things that you're not taught about in school. It talks about transgender, the difference between male to female, female to male. It has real stories from people, their life experience, how they went through school, work, people from around the world, different ages, different orientations, different genders. They talk about relationships. I do recommend that book. I really enjoyed it. It did make me laugh. I'm rambling. It's really hot. No, I struggle in heat, and I'm really out of breath because it's just so hot, and I'm out of like liquid. So you'll have to bear with me. Simon versus the Homo sapiens gender. I haven't read this yet. I saw it on Tumblr and I was like, you know what, that sounds brilliant. People were giving it 5 stars, and really the more LGBT fiction I can read, the better. So Simon Spire is 16 and trying to work out who he really is and what he's looking for. But when one of his emails to the very distracting Blue falls into the wrong hand, things get all kind of complicated. Because for Simon, falling for Blue is a big deal. Yeah, again, I haven't read it. I just really wanted to read it. So that is going to be on one of my next reads. My next one, I was looking through Goodread and I reviewed one of these books. And then this book actually came up. I haven't seen anyone read it. I haven't seen it around on Tumblr. And I think it's got a really good concept. It's called Openly Straight, which is weird because people might go, oh, but that's about being straight. No. Raph has been out since 8th grade and he's fine with it, and so is everyone else, but sometimes he wants to be a regular guy, not the gay guy. So when he transfers to an all-boys boarding school in New England, he decides to become openly straight instead. The transformation works. Raph reveals a new group of straight guys, friends and the freedom of living without a label, but then he falls in love with one of his new friends, who doesn't even know that love is a possibility. Openly Straight is a funny, smart novel about being out, being real, and all the things being yourself can mean. I liked the concept of the fact he tried to be someone he wasn't, which is something I've done, and it all goes well and good until something like comes along and kicks you in the face, kind of thing. And then he's going well, everything's going good until he falls in love with one of his friends, which then he still has to try and show that he's not, whereas your heart's trying to tell you something else. And I thought it would be a really good concept of like trying to show how you have to be true to who you are. Again, I haven't read this. I haven't read quite a few of these. That is actually one of the newer ones on here. The next book I absolutely loved, and I really hope if you pick any one of these books, it's this one. George! It's absolutely brilliant. I loved it. When people look at George, they think they see a boy. But she knows she's not a boy, she knows she's a girl. George thinks she have to keep this secret forever. Then her teacher announces that the class play is going to be Charlotte's Web. George really wants to play Charlotte, but the teacher says she can't even try it for the part because she's a boy. With the help of her best friend Kelly, George comes up with a plan. Not just so she can be Charlotte, but so everyone can see who she truly is. When I bought this book, I didn't realise George is actually 10. So it goes to show how it is in earlier life. Some people know when they're younger, some people don't discover until they're about 30. Sorry, there was a hair on the side of my camera and it was really annoying me. So if you know Charlotte's Web, you got Charlotte the spider. So George really wants to play the spider. When they're reading it in class, she starts crying, and the boys laugh at her. The teacher says no, it's really good that she's got so caught up in the story. When she says she wants to play it for Charlotte, the class actually laugh at her. The teacher laughs at her. It's actually quite upsetting. Like, I really felt for George at this time. But then her best friend really helps her. She does end up playing Charlotte, but not for the whole thing. How it happens is absolutely wonderful. Kelly starts off playing Charlotte, and then something happens, and then George steps up. And I am going to... it's not really a spoiler. Near the end, Kelly and George goes out for a day out. But Kelly actually lends George one of her dresses, does her makeup, and they go out with her uncle, and her uncle says, oh, you and your beautiful friend are coming out. He thinks they're both biologically female, and it makes George so happy. He does go by a different name. I'm not going to ruin that for you, because I think how he comes up the name is great. Another one, Parrotfish, is again about transgender character. Angelica has never felt quite right as a girl, so she decides to live as Grady, a guy. While coming out as transgender feels right to Grady, he isn't prepared for the reactions of his family and friends. Grady's life is miserable until he finds friends in unexpected places, like the school geek Sebastian, who tell Grady that there is a pretentious for transgenders in the natural world, and Kitcha, Senior, who might just be Grady's first love. From acclaimed author Ellen Whitlang, the groundbreaking novel was one of the first of its kind about a transgender teen, searching for identity and acceptance. I did stutter quite a bit there. If you have watched one of my previous videos, you know I get quite anxious when reading out loud. I do try. I had a speech issue when I was younger, and my brain, I can see it, I want to say it, but my brain's stopping me. So I'm sorry, I know some people get annoyed when people stutter. So especially with names, I just tend to read them as the first thing that comes out of my head and don't bother. Because I prefer that than keep stuttering over the same thing. So I apologise for that. It's just gone straight out of my head. Oh, Sebastian tells Grady that the parrotfish will change its sex to whatever it needs to be. So the male ones can become female, the females will become male, just so it's, I don't know, nature, innit? Grady comes out, he tries to live kind of as neutral as possible to begin with, and then he tells his family. The family don't really accept it. It's a little bit tense at school. Things happen. Everything kind of goes to hell. His best friend will no longer talk to him. It actually shows the struggle of sometimes what coming out. People will just go, nope, nah. I did really enjoy that book. The end, however, I found quite unrealistic and cheesy, really cheesy. But I actually really enjoyed it being cheesy. I don't know why. The next book I haven't read. I've seen it a lot. I keep seeing it on my shelf, and I really want time to sit down and read it in one go. Because I feel like it's going to be one of them books I'm going to be like stuck in. But I haven't found the time. And I haven't had the right moment. The Art of Being Normal. I named my transition channel this. Because I think it's a good name. Because you do try and be normal. David Piper has always been an outsider. His parents think he's gay, the school bully thinks he's a freak, only his two best friends knows the real truth. David wants to be a girl. On the first day at his new school, Leo Denton has one goal, to be invisible. Attracting the attention of the most beautiful girl in Year 11 is definitely not part of that plan. When Leo stands up for David in a fight, an unlikely friendship forms. But things are about to get messy, because at Eden Park School, secrets have a funny habit of not staying secrets for long. So there isn't actually that much transgender fiction out there. I don't know why. Maybe it's a hard topic to write about, people find it difficult. So I bought this because of the amount of reviews I was seeing on Tumblr. So I can't really say much more about that. This other book I was looking through Goodread and books related to other books you might enjoy, and this one come up, and I bought it because I haven't actually seen one like it. None of the above. I tried to focus on the paperwork I was supposed to fill out. At the very top it's read name, date of birth, SSN? I don't know what that means. Sex, male or female. That was when I realised that life was a multiple choice test with two answers, male or female, and I was none of the above. This book is about an intersex character. So, there it is. When Kristen is voted the homecoming queen, it seems like another piece of our ideal life has fallen into place. She's a champion hurdler with a full scholarship to college, and she's madly in love with her boyfriend. In fact, she's decided she's ready to take things to the next level with him. But Kristen's first time isn't the perfect moment she planned. Something is very wrong. A visit to the doctor reveals the truth. Kristen is intersex, which means that though she is outward looking like a girl, she has male chromosomes, not to mention boy parts. Dealing with her body is difficult enough, but when her diagnosis is leaked to the whole school, Kristen's entire identity is thrown into question. As her world unravels, she comes to terms with her new self. I bought it because it sounded absolutely interesting. It sounded like it could be really well written. It can be believable. I'm sure some people have gone through life without knowing and then have tried to take things further with their partner and then realised. And this, I'm guessing, is dealing with relationships, with school, with family, feeling very alone because maybe you don't know anyone else that is intersex. Maybe it's not something that's really widely talked about in society. I think people are scared to talk about it. Maybe people don't know how to talk about it. And I think that book just, I want to know more. I want to understand a bit more. I want to understand how people feel. So, they're my 8 books. This is probably 20 minutes long. I have got a few more LGBT, but one of them I'm in the middle of reading, which is Six of Crows. It's got 2 non-straight characters, 2 persons of colour, 1 person with a learning difficulty, 1 person that's physically disabled and has PTSD. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying that, but I haven't completed it yet. There's a few more on my shelf that I haven't directly put on my LGBT pile, because I do have sections with authors. So I am going to go through that one day and try and share as many more as I can. If you have any other books you know, you can post them in the comments. just try and get more and more out there. I'm going to wrap it up now because I probably sound like a complete rambler. So until my next video, see you later.